Hooray for Hollywood. Of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world, she walks into my... Oh, hello there. I am Stan the Movie Man, and this is my review of Joker. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, Frances Conroy, and more. It's not really much of a story as it is a series of events that leads to the creation of Batman's most iconic villain. Joaquin Phoenix plays Arthur Fleck, a man whose life has not exactly turned out the way probably most of us would like our lives to turn out. In the story, he appears to be middle-aged, and he is living at home with his mother, Penny Fleck, played by Frances Conroy. She is an idealistic dreamer who believes that the letters she writes to her former employer, Thomas Wayne, played by Brett Cullen, will lead him to give them the help they need to escape poverty. They are living in an old, run-down apartment building, in a small apartment, and she thinks that the benevolence of Mr. Wayne will lead to their salvation. Now, Arthur is a clown for hire. He works for an agency, and he does various appearances. For instance, if you've seen the trailer, you know that he's out front of a business, sign twirling a sign that says going out of business, when he is attacked by some teenagers who steal his sign, and then when he chases them down an alley, they beat him up. He also does an appearance at a children's hospital when a gun he was given by another of the clowns, a guy named Randall, played by Glenn Fleshler, falls out of his pants. When his boss finds out about it, he fires him. This is just more pressure upon more pressure, and Arthur is already seeing a social worker by the name, played by Sharon Washington, who is just going through the motions with him, and Arthur understands that, and he's just there to get his medication. This leads Arthur, who, by the way, has a medical condition that causes him to, a neurological condition that causes him to laugh uncontrollably at inappropriate times, usually when he is under a great deal of stress. He's just been fired from his job. He's riding the train to his to home. And three guys who have been, sort of hitting on a woman who's not the least bit interested, they walk up to him and start beating him up, and Arthur uses the gun to kill all three of them. And again, a series of events. It's just one event after another. And Arthur's tenuous grasp on reality is constantly being hammered at. He's trying to break into stand-up comedy, but God love him, he's not funny. And he doesn't realize he's not funny. He goes to do an open mic at a local comedy club in Gotham City, and it gets videotaped. This is set back in either the late 70s or early 80s. And it gets videotaped and sent to a local talk and variety show host, Murray Franklin, played by Robert De Niro. And he plays the clip of Arthur bombing at this comedy club and makes fun of Arthur, which drives Arthur crazy. More crazy. And again, it's just a series of events piling on top of each other until the camel's back can take not one straw more. I really like this movie, and I like this movie in that it understands how to deal with a comic book villain on his own. Arthur doesn't need Batman in this particular movie. And we see a young Bruce Wayne who is at least 15, maybe 20 years away from donning the cape and cowl. So, um, you know, Batman is not going to swing in and throw a batarang and have, you know, bat shark repellent on his utility belt or whatever and save the day. There is no one to save the day in this movie because nobody in this movie is a hero. Nobody. The only decent person has maybe even less power within society than Arthur, and that's a guy named Gary, played by Lee Gill, who is a little person, a dwarf. He works at the agency where Arthur is a clown for hire. Um, I liked the way the film was kind of unrelenting in that how society largely ignores each individual within the society, but collectively they can pay attention to the people who seem to have all the power. And in this instance, the people of Gotham City, the poor, are focusing their anger at the rich and powerful. And it's a really unique take on a villain like Joker because it doesn't have the usual superhero tropes. And you can just... It's like if Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3, had been done right. If they had told that story in a way that it was almost understandable that the Sith were angry and wanted to take over. In this instance, Arthur Fleck and the backlash against the rich and powerful that is created when a guy in clown makeup shoots and kills 3 people who work for Wayne Enterprises, and it ignites a movement amongst the people to express their anger and their frustration at their situation in life. And Thomas Wayne, in this version, is not the least bit sympathetic to their cause, calling them all clowns. And he inadvertently throws gasoline on this smoldering fire and causes it to flare up. I think it's a really good movie. Now, I understand people were concerned about violence breaking out, and tying this loosely to the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting during a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises. And I understand that, but I think it's misplaced fear. I think it's fear looking for a cause. Granted, you know, we have a lot of mass shootings in this country. It's a horrible situation. And until we work together on it to solve it, until we focus our anger at the people who can actually do things about it, well then we're still waiting on the gasoline to be thrown on the fire. But I think the fear is misplaced in this particular instance. And there's also comparing Arthur to incels, the involuntarily celibate movement. I don't see how those two things tie together. And you know, I think some people were just creating clickbait for their websites by coming up with these articles talking about these various issues, and you know, then putting it on the internet hoping to drive traffic to their websites. That's just me. But I really enjoyed Joker. It's a shame that we will probably never see this version of Joker in a Batman movie, because director Todd Phillips says this is a one-shot and this will be the last time we see it. Although I'm sure if you wag enough money in front of Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips' faces, they may show up in a Batman movie at some point. But I really enjoyed the film. I liked the presentation of Joker, the reasoning behind his violence, even though it's still wrong. It makes sense within the sick character's mind. So go see it for yourself. Don't let people tell you. Don't let people scare you away from Joker. Don't let them tell you that it's not as good as what we were all initially told, because in my opinion, it is good. Make your own opinion. That's why I am giving Joker 5 stars. Listen to my new podcast. It is called Comedy, Tragedy, Marriage. I do it with my wife. Each episode we take turns selecting a movie or TV show to watch, and then discuss why the one that didn't pick it either loves it, likes it, or hates it. It is called Comedy, Tragedy, Marriage, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at MovieManStan, and you can send emails to me, StanTheMovieMan123 at gmail.com. Till next time. Later.